time RVers. How is everyone? Maddie went inside. We had a microphone issue, so we had a lot of video. We didn't have any audio on, so she's a little tired of dealing with it. So our first camper we purchased 6 or 7 years ago now, and we had a $700 credit at the camp store at the dealership. Of course, our salesman went around with us and said, these are some of the things you need to camp with. And I've tent camped a lot, never thought about what I would need extra beyond just buying the camper. But if you're buying a camper, you're going to learn quickly. You're going to need things like sewer hose, water hose, wheel chocks, things like that. This video is not going to be about that. What this video is going to be about is the things they didn't tell us we would need beyond those things like that that get you started. So here we go with number one. This is going to be the first thing they're going to tell you you need. What they're not going to tell you is this hose stretches to maybe 10 feet. I would say our third or fourth camping trip, we needed more than 10 feet. So we had to go to the camp store and we had to buy another section. There it is. Another about 10-foot section. So we could hit the sewer. Not only is there nothing standard about where they place the sewer at a campground, there's nothing standard about where they place this on your camper. It was probably a couple years later when we got to a campground when 2 hoses wouldn't reach. So we had to buy a third. Now we store that right in here. So basically now we have 3 hoses to make sure we can reach where we need to reach. So there's your first must-have. At least 2, if not 3 lengths of hose. And we're going to put links below to Amazon for each of these products. Here's number 2. Your freshwater hose. On our camper, our Nautilus system up here that controls all your water, city water, onboard water, all that stuff is at the very front of our camper. So we hook our city water in here, and we just came across this at this campground. Our one hose we bought doesn't reach their water supply, so we had to break this hose out to give us our last 5 feet. Here's number 3. This is another issue we ran into one day. Luckily it wasn't that bad at the time. We got our camper backed in, we unhooked the truck, we put down our stabilizers, and our power cord wouldn't reach. So I had to hook the truck back up, put our stabilizers back up, then I had to back the camper up a couple feet in order to get our, at the time, 30 amp cord to plug in. So here's number 3. In our case, a 50 amp extension. That 30-foot extension on top of the 30-foot that came with us gives us 60 feet. We can always hit the outlet when we need to. Up in the bed of my truck for number 4. And that is a jack. If you're on any Facebook groups or anything like that, you're going to hear about the Westlake China bombs. Now these particular tires have been on our camper since day one. We've had this camper over 2 years, thousands and thousands of miles of travel, and we haven't had any problems. But when we do, or when you do, you're going to want a good jack. What happens when you got to change that tire? You're going to need to jack it up. Something else they didn't tell us about, a good jack to jack up the camper if you need to change a tire. So here's number 5. In our camper, we have a battery shut off right there. But our first camper, we didn't. I never would have thought the battery would go dead sitting in storage. Makes sense that it would, wouldn't it? If anything, you still have some power going to things like your CO2 sensor. So if you do not have a shut off, your battery will die and you'll be stuck. And they actually make battery shut offs that go right onto the battery, onto the terminal. So when you go into storage, it's something as simple as pulling up a piece of metal, cuts off all your power, doesn't drain your battery. Don't have enough fingers. This is number 6, and then this is going to lead us into number 7. A clear connector for your sewer drain. You're going to be able to hear as your liquids come out of that, but you're also going to want to be able to see what's coming out. And that's going to lead us to number 7. Number 7 is going to be a combo of 3 things. First thing is a T. Why do you need this T? Well, in our camper and a lot of other campers, we have water outside, and that's great, and I use it all the time. It's hot and cold, but it doesn't have much pressure. So with that T, you can add a garden hose. This is just a cheap garden hose we had at home. I just throw it in the storage. Why do I need that garden hose? 2 reasons. Number 1 is, so I have a tank flush here. I'll tee off water right from the main spigot, run it over to here, and clean out my tank. If you happen to have a camper that doesn't have a black tank flush, no problem. There's 2 things you can do, probably more than that. But number 1 is, and I don't necessarily like this, is you can get a connection like this that connects right here, and you can connect the garden hose and it'll shoot up in there. A few things I don't like about that. Number 1 is, I don't believe that stream is going to make its way into the black tank. Number 2 is, there's a chance of cross-contamination there, so I don't like that either. Not only is our flush far away from the black tank, but there's a valve in there so the water can't back out. So another option is a wand, and I'll stick a picture up here. We don't have one because we have the automatic flush there. But you stick that wand into your toilet and it'll put a spray in there to kind of clean out the black tank. And that leads us back to our last must-have. When you have that clear connector, you can rinse that tank out until you see clear water coming out. That way you know you've got it as clean as possible. I'm trying to stay in the shade because it's a little warm and sticky out here. Number 8 is going to be a turn-a-bond tape, or maybe even some self-leveling sealant, or heck, in a pinch you can use duct tape or Gorilla Tape. If you look where we're camping, there are trees everywhere. I mean, I wouldn't say we're in the woods, but we're close to a lot of trees, and I'm sure they do a good job at keeping them cut up high. But the last thing you want to do is drive into a campground late at night, catch a branch on that rubber roof up there, put a hole in it, not know it, and it rained that night. Then what do you do? With the turn-a-bond tape, you can get that thing repaired, and it's pretty much permanent, but at least it's going to get you through your camping weekend. Here's number 9. Once again, our cable and everything is at the front of our camper. Most campers today come with TVs with cable hookups, and in our case, once again, that cable is all the way back there. So I got about 40 foot worth of cable, so I can make it here to my amplifier. And I also have about a 15-foot section and a coupler. So all in all, I have over 50 feet of cable just in case. Here's our number 10 anyways. A couple standard extension cords. Why do you want a standard extension cord? What if you want to make coffee outside? What if you want to cook outside? What if you're someone that brings lights and you want to be able to plug those lights in? So having 2 or 3 standard extension cords is going to help you do that. Here, first time RVers, we're a nice group of campers. So I'm going to give you some bonuses. Here's bonus number 1. The Sidewinder. As you can see, it's taller over here, shorter over there. I don't need it this time, but there are going to be times when you need to make sure that hose is at a constant angle heading downhill. So you can use gravity to get what's in these tanks into their system. Here's a couple more bonuses. Some slide out lubricant and some rubber seal conditioner. The rubber seal conditioner, I mean, you can do that anytime. But I've been in campgrounds where my neighbor is putting his slide out and it is whistling as loud can be. And if you happen to have some of that lubricant on hand, you can go under there right at your campground, spray it down, and maybe not only save your mechanics under there, but keep it quiet for your neighbors. There you have it. That's our top 10 list of things you're going to need that your salesman won't tell you about. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube telling you about the 10 things you need to buy when you buy a camper. These are the 10 things you need to buy after you buy those 10 things. Again, links will be in the description below to Amazon for all these products. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe if you want to see other videos like this. Leave us a comment if you think we've left anything out, or what you would buy next, or what you think we shouldn't even have put in our list. Share with your friends if they're buying a camper. They may want to know this info also. Like I said, guys, this is just stuff that we came across when we were camping, and we had to go to the camp store and spend top dollar for some of these items. This way, maybe you'll be ahead of the game and you won't run into the issues we ran into when we went camping. I can promise you, at the camp store, we had to buy, I think, both black tank hoses. We had to buy TV cable. Luckily, I had the connector, but we had to buy extra TV cable. Oh, and we also bought, I know we bought that Sidewinder. So we just did this video to help you guys out. Things that we ran into that we didn't hear about when we bought our camper, we had to do on our own. This way you can get them from our Amazon link below and save that hassle of having to run over to the camp store to buy them. And let me tell you, when you get to campgrounds, some camp stores are the size of a drugstore. Other campgrounds don't even have a camp store. You go to a state park, you're probably not even going to have a camp store. And if you can't get to the water or you can't get to the sewer, it's not going to be a happy weekend. Well, again, thanks for watching First Time RVers, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.